Is what we call as Astanga Yoga. Now, sometimes what happens, we just think that doing some asanas is Astanga Yoga, but actually it is a Ekang Yoga. It is not Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga means we have to have these eightfold process. So, what are these eightfold process? Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. So, these eight processes are there. Now, what is yam? Yam means some don'ts, what we don't want to do. Niyam is the do's which we want to do. Asan is the posture in which we sit, either relaxed, steady, comfortable, motionless. And pranayam is consciously we are trying to regulate our breath. Pratyahar is we are retracting our sensory experience from external objects. So we are actually artificially trying to control our sensory inputs. Dharana is when we are able to concentrate, introspect. Sometimes we can develop one pointedness, that is dharana. And when this dharana increases longer time, then it is known as dhyana. Dhyan means contemplation or reflection. So dharana was to bring all the thoughts to one thought, and dhyan is to reflect just on that thought or being in sort of thoughtlessness. And samadhi is when we are able to do it for a longer time, when we are able to develop that sense of oneness with the subject of meditation. So these eight, yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, these eight constitute what we call as Ashtanga Yoga. So Ashtanga Yoga is just not something like uh, one thing like either doing some asana or some dhyan. Ashtanga Yoga is we have to follow all these things. And if we look at it very carefully, the initial two things are the yam and niyam, means the don'ts and do's. Don'ts and do's are very important. If you are not following don'ts and do's, then we may do some asanas, it may improve our physical health, but actually, eventually, it will not lead to realization. So sometimes people do some type of dhyan just for sake of developing some concentration ability, but that is not the actual aim of Ashtanga Yoga. So ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, parigraha, these are the aspects of what we have to follow in this social life. Like we have to follow the principle of ahimsa, we have to follow the principle of satya, we have to become someone who will not hoard things, someone whose senses are controlled. So this way we have to develop our social life if we want to follow Ashtanga Yoga. And then there are some niyama which we have to follow. These niyama are for individual person. Like he has to do some tapa, he has to do some sacrifice, he has to do swadhyaya, means he has to read up things, self-study. Then he has to maintain shocha, means cleanliness, internal and external. He has to develop sense of satisfaction or santosha. And then one has to have Ishwar Pranidhana, like we have one pointed ability to concentrate on Ishvara, who is our Ishta Dev, and we can fully ability to surrender to him. So these are the niyama. These are personal niyamas. So brahmacharya and all were the social rules, and these are personal rules. So a Ashtang yogi has to develop these yam like restraints, what we discussed, ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Then he has to follow some observances or niyama like shoch, santosh, tap, swadhyay, and ishwar pranidhana. When we follow these two steps, then we do some asanas to control our body. Then we learn to do some breathing exercises to control our breath input and output. Then we develop pratyahar, like we are able to withdraw our senses. Now, if we are just doing some posture and some breathing exercise and not following yam and niyama, we will never be able to do pratyahar. This is very important. And when we are not able to do pratyahar, forget about doing dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. So dharana, dhyan, and samadhi will never come if we are not following yam and niyama. So eventually, what is the aim of Ashtanga Yoga? The aim of Ashtanga Yoga is to find this fine balance between our body, that is the physical self, the mind, the subtle self and the soul, that is the spiritual self. So if we can find out balance between these three, and we know that body is more or less we can find balance, soul also we can do something for that realization, but mind is something which always disturbs us. And that already Lord has discussed in fifth chapter also, that actually this Kam, Krodh, Bhaya, Ichha, everything we have to leave aside. Then only we will be able to develop that level of concentration, which will actually lead us to self-realization. So already in fifth chapter, Lord has given some hint that he will be now discussing about mind. So fifth chapter, last loka we discussed last time, that Bhoktaram Yagyatapsam Sarvaloka Maheshwara Surada Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Shanti Mechati. The Lord is specifically saying that I am the Bhoktaram, I am the Yagyatapsam. If we understand this basic principle, then it is very easy to control our mind and become peaceful. But actually, we don't understand it up to that level. So this is the peace formula which we have discussed last time. Peace formula had three things. Bhoktaram Yagyatapsam, like I am the enjoyer. I am means the Lord is saying. Sarvaloka Maheshwara, he is the proprietor of everything. And Surat Sarvabhutana, despite of being enjoyer and Sarvalok Maheshwar, still he is Surat. He wants to help us. Now, issue is that we don't acknowledge that he is Bhoktaram Yagyatapsam. That's why we have developed attachment towards things. And when we have developed attachment towards things, then this calm, krodh, and lobh actually disturbs us. Like we see in case of Ravana. In case of some great rishis also, they become agitated because of krodha. And we last session only we discussed about Duryodhana, that how he is having lot of lobha to acquire that kingdom only for himself. So this peace formula, why it gets disturbed? Because we don't acknowledge the presence of God. And what is the role? The role of mind is very strong in this thing, that mind actually doesn't want to give up that sense of proprietorship. That ahankar is the reason why we are not able to acknowledge the Lord. And with this background, now we come to sixth chapter. So you might have felt that was a big introduction, but actually this sort of recalling is necessary to understand what Lord is going to tell us. Also, because we have not been trained in Gurukula system of education where we know the terminologies, like Arjun knows everything. So I had to give that background so that when now Lord is talking about Ashtanga Yoga, it will make sense to us that which Ashtanga Yoga and what limb of Ashtanga Yoga Lord is mentioning. So now if we see, sixth chapter is also very well laid chapter, having 47 shlokas to it. And of these 47 shlokas, we can divide it into almost into 6 sections. So first section is how one can advance in yoga through detached work. So Lord is continuing that theme, and then he will introduce the role of mind. So first part is where he will talk about detached yoga. Then he will give us understanding that when we are following Ashtanga yoga, there are two different stages through which one practitioner goes through, and then he will tell us the advanced stage of how one is practicing that yoga. And then comes the part which is very technical, that why it is necessary to control this turbulent mind. And then our question, which was there in the first slide, that if suppose I follow everything you are saying and I couldn't complete my endeavors in this lifetime, then what will happen to me? And then Lord will explain to us eventually. This is also end of this whole section of first six chapter, what is karma yoga. So Lord will give us that hint also, that actually who is the topmost yogi. So this is how this chapter is framed. And initially in the first shloka, Lord says that anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti. So how we have to do our karma? Anashrit. Anashrit means we should not be actually based on either karma phal or kar. How we should work? We should work like a yogi or sannyasi do. So that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shiksha Ashtakam says to us. You can read about this in this purport of first shloka which Prabhupada has given. And he mentions that shloka there that na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagdish kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavtad bhaktir ahetuki tvai. So what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that I don't want dhan na jan na sundarim. I don't want any followers. I don't want lot of wealth, fame. What I want, mam janmani janmanishware. Birth after birth, I want only one thing, and that is bhavtad bhaktir ahetuki tvai. So I want to work in this world. Yes, I will work, but only aim is to please you. That's why uh, Lord says in the second shloka that yam sannyas samiti prahur yogam ta vidhi pandava. So yogi bhavati kashina. The essence of renunciation is actually not to give up this worldly thing. Many times people are afraid that if I read Bhagavad Gita, then I will renounce everything. I will become a yogi. It is not that. Like we know that when Arjuna heard the whole of Bhagavad Gita, it was not that he became a yogi in that sense that he left everything. Actually, he fought that big ghastly war and he became the royal heritage. He inherited everything what was actually really belonging to him. So, essence of renunciation is not giving up this worldly thing, it is giving up the worldly thoughts. So this is what Lord is actually emphasizing here, that we don't have to give everything. We have to give up that sense of proprietorship, that sense that everything belongs to me. And when that sense of everything belongs to Lord comes, then is the starting of this yoga practice. So here comes the role of yoga ruled. These are different ways of how yoga practitioners go through. So this verse, fourth verse actually explains the yoga ruda stage. Now we will discuss what is yoga ruda and what is yoga ruruksh. Yoga ruruksh is the first stage. This may sound very technical, but actually it is a simple thing. That yoga ruruksh is the beginning stage, something like when we are doing our internship, that sort of a stage when we are actually working, but we are there slowly developing that, cultivating that sense of detachment. And yoga root stage is the advanced stage when we have achieved that freedom from desires, which actually impel us to work. And what we do when we have developed pratyahar, which is very perfect. So we have already seen how we develop pratyahar. Before that, you have to follow yam and niyam. Then only you can develop pratyahar. So beginning stage is yoga ruruksh stage and yoga road stage is the advanced stage. Again, just to recall or someone who has joined late, the yam and niyam are the initial part and asana, pranayam and pratyahar are the later stages. So pratyahar comes when we have already perfected the initial four stages. And these three stages actually they belong to the advanced stage. So technically what we can call the initial five stage are the beginning stage and the later three stages are the advanced stage. So in yoga ruruksh or the beginning stage, one is working in nishkam karma yoga. This is what Lord explained in first shloka of this chapter. And when aspiring yogi become elevated to the point of yoga ruda, he gives up that nishkam karma yoga and practices the Ashtanga yoga exclusively. Now, thing is that many times people prematurely want to leave everything and want to show to world that I am very detached person. But Lord is actually not uh, saying that we have to do in that manner. What Lord is saying that what we have to do, we have to go through step by step manner. So how we can develop that yoga root stage? We all want to become advanced yogi, and three aspects are important: non-attraction to the sense object. Second is mind control. So important thing is mind control. So this is how Lord introduces mind control in this chapter. So if you want to become an advanced yogi, just controlling your body will not work. If you want to become advanced yogi, You have to control your mind. And this is what is called as yoga rude stage or giving up work. So next 6.5 to 6.9, Lord says that yogi may give up Nishkam Karma Yoga when he has developed that level of mind control, not before that. Because without mind control, doing any type of yoga is just simply a waste of time. So actually our mind is our friend also and mind is our enemy also. Bandhuratmev ripuratmana. Bandhu means friend, ripu means enemy. So mind is our bandhu also and mind is our ripu also. Bandhu when mind is under our control and ripu when mind is uncontrolled. And now how we have to make that mind our friend? This is what again we will come to this section by understanding through this. So this is our mind. Now intelligence and ego, these two things are there. Ego is something which is binding us to this gross body, and intelligence is something actually ideally should control our mind. Now most of the time what happens, our mind is actually not under control of intelligence. Mind is actually controlling the intelligence. And when this sort of arrangement happens, that mind is dictating the terms, then everything is haywire. How we can control our mind? We can control our mind by developing our intelligence. How to develop that intelligence so that mind becomes our friend and doesn't remain our enemy? By reading Bhagavad Gita, by understanding this constitutional position of our body. And what is that constitutional position? In today's terminology, if we say this, our whole gross body is like hardware of any computer, and our subtle body mind is like a software. So sometimes we see in software there is some virus, and then things don't work the way you want them. You click some button and something else getting typed over there because your software is corrupted. Same way is happening to us when our mind is not in control. So our hardware may be best, we have the best of the computers in terms of hardware, but if our software is corrupted, then that hardware is of no use. So we may have a 6-pack, 9-pack body by going to gym, but if our mind is not under control, then we will not be able to function the way we would like to do. So soul is like that user. Like soul controls, ideally should control the subtle and gross body. Same way that user should actually control how software and hardware will function. So soul is that seat of consciousness, which actually should govern everything. Now, what happens if our software is corrupted? With best of the hardware and best of the user available, will not be able to perform. That's why controlling mind is very important. Srila Prabhupada gives example that mind is just like a knife. Now, in itself, knife is not good or bad. Knife is good if it is in hand of a surgeon. A properly trained surgeon may save somebody's life with the help of knife. While using same knife, someone else may injure some other person or it may kill also. So is knife good or bad? Actually, knife is neither good or bad. Actually, the user has to decide how he has to use. So is mind good or bad? Mind is neither good or bad. Mind is just an instrument. How we use our mind depends what we get out of it. So mind is just like a monkey. So mind actually every time treats us badly. But what happens? We trust it madly. So every time mind is treating us badly, many time in a day we actually have that experience that, oh, why I did that? Because I was under influence of my mind. I didn't want to do that thing in this manner, the way I have done it. Why? Because actually our intelligence is hijacked by this monkey mind. So mind actually not only befools us many times, actually it betrays us also. And what happens? Because our consciousness is not developed, our intelligence is not developed, wherever mind takes us, we go along with it. And when we go along with our mind, we may reach up to some level or some things which we don't even want to recall. So uncontrolled mind not only leads to depression, stress, hypertension, weakened determination, loss of trust, lack of confidence. Lot of damage can be done by uncontrolled mind. So we have to somewhere learn how to control this mind. Because if our mind is not controlled, then it is just like we are living in house with an enemy. Suppose some enemy is living with you in your house, somebody was kidnapped, and that kidnapper is still living in that house. Then it will be very dangerous situation, but because anytime he may do some harm to us. Same is with this uncontrolled mind which we are living. If our mind is not in control, it is just like an enemy in the house or a hole in a boat. If there is a hole in a boat, definitely we are going to sink. So if we want to really understand, then we have to remove our blindfolds. We have to remove our blindfolds, and we have to understand that it is very important to control our mind. How mind betrays us? Mind will give us best of the temptations, and it will spoil us with lot of the choices. Like many time if you go to some supermarket like this, then you see lot of things and numbers of soap and thousands of shampoos and lot of things to eat, and then you are just confused what all I can buy. I have limited resources. Then you buy something, then you come out of that place, but still you're not satisfied. Why you're not satisfied? Because you brought X thing, but actually you wanted to buy Y, but you don't have those resources. So when we have a lot of choices, actually we become dissatisfied. This is modern psychology understanding also. Lot of choices actually doesn't lead to satisfaction. Satisfaction comes from inside. So uncontrolled mind, if it is offered uncontrolled choices, then it will always remain uncontrolled only. So we have to control the inputs. This is what we call as pratyahar. This is what we do in yam and niyam when we follow. So we have a lot of social media following. We have so many friends. We want to increase our likes. We want to remain visible in the social media front and social fronts. So again, we have a lot of choices there. Which app you want to use, which way you want to project yourself. But then again, all these things will also lead to distractions. So lot of bhoga, and then mind becomes frustrated with lot of bhoga, and mind will suggest you, okay, you want to leave everything and you want to go to Himalayas. Okay, I will take you to Himalayas. But the moment you reach Himalayas and you have thought that you will do meditation, you will remember that I am feeling hungry and where is the Maggie point? I want to eat Maggie. So point is that this pendulum of mind will always take us from bhoga to tyaga. So lot of choices, then you select some choices, then it will say, oh, this is not good. You leave it aside, go for some other choice. So all our whole life, we are just like a pendulum. We are just actually moving to and fro from bhog to tyag, from bhog to tyag. When we are doing tyag, we are attracted to bhoga. When we are doing bhoga, we are attracted to tyaga. This is how this mind is made by God. So our dissatisfaction levels keep on increasing. The more we advance materially, the more our dissatisfaction level keep on increasing. Why? Because our expectation keep on increasing. Our expectation is this, and then in the reality, when we get this, then we always feel something is missing. And what is that something? How to get that something? So we try to plan our things. We want to think about our insurance, our retirement, our uh, children, our families, our society, our nation, everything we want to plan this way, that way, travel, hobbies. But still doing all these things, we are dissatisfied. The reason is that actually this is how system is. Our mind is controlling everything right now, and mind is dictating our intelligence, and through our senses we are trying to enjoy this world. How to control this mind is very important. If we don't learn to control this mind, we will not be able to develop this intelligence also, and if we don't develop this intelligence, then nothing will happen. So we already understood how to develop this intelligence by following Gyan Yoga. How to control this mind? By using Dhyan Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. So Dhyan Yoga is very important part if we want to remain satisfied in our life, peaceful in life. This is what we have to do. And what Bhakti Yoga is doing? Bhakti Yoga has a component of both Dhyan Yoga and Gyan Yoga. So actually it beautifully assimilates both the things. So we know now that our mind is not in control and we are contemplating and we want to control our mind because we want to make mind our friend. So if you want to make someone friend, then you have to understand what he is, what are his likings, how he behaves, and what he is made up of. So what is our mind made up of? Our mind is made up of all our past karmas which we have done in previous lives. That is the bundle of all the karmas. Second is all the vasanas. Vasanas are some seed-like desires which even we are not aware of right now. Then sankalpas. Sankalpas are those desires which we are aware of. And ichha. Ichha is those desires which we are not only aware of, but we have expressed to someone that we want to do it in this way. So our mind is not only made up of ichha, that we all know that mind is made up of lot of desires, but it is also made up technically of sankalp, vasanas and karmas. And that's why it is difficult to control. We can control our ichhas, the things which we want to express, but our uh, in background of our mind, all our sankalpas and vasanas in about which we are not even aware, and all our past karmas, they keep on working, keep on working, keep on working. All those sanskaras, they keep on working and they keep on churning something inside us, and then we are attracted to something or the other. So how to control our vasanas, sankalpas and ichhas? This is what is actually art of mind control. So who is a control mind? Control mind is a friend, and uncontrolled mind is actually our enemy. So if we keep on thinking that how to serve Krishna, how to serve Krishna, how to actually dovetail all our propensities in the service of Krishna, then only we'll be able to control our mind, because there is no other way. There is no other way to control mind but to neglect the dictations of mind, because mind is just like a small kid. A small kid make n number of demands, but parents don't listen to each one of them. So we may have a lot of demands of developing some respect. People should respect me. I should have a lot of wealth. I should be famous. I should have a lot of say in the society. But if we keep on chanting, then someday will come when we will just chant the holy name. So how we can give away our impurities of mind and heart? By developing our consciousness towards Krishna. So when we do this, what happens? Now in 7th shloka, Lord says that Jitatmana prashantasya paramatma samahita shitoshna sukha dukkheshu tatha man apamanayo. So somebody who has understood this hierarchy of how to control this mind, he will become a Jitatmana. Jitatma means somebody who has conquered the mind. And when you become Jitatma, already you become a Prashantasya, you become happy. And how you become happy? You know now that Shitoshna Sukha Dukkheshu. There's all different changes which happen around you in this physical world. And at the mental level, man apaman, nothing will disturb you. What you have become? You have become a Jitatma. So how we become Jitatma? When we make God our friend, we become our own friend. So how to become your friend? You make God your friend. So if we make God our friend, then we become our own friend, because actually then we start understanding who we are. And this way, what happens? Jnana Vijnana Traptatma Kuthosto Vijitendriya. Somebody who has conquered all his indriyas, Vijitendriya. What he happens? Jnana Vijnana Traptatma. Now he is actually satisfied with all that knowledge. So when we develop that gyan about Lord and how this whole world, which is actually big temptation to us, is just an illusion, then what happens to us? When we study this, we become steady. So steady to become steady. So and what is that steadiness? Now we are every time getting disturbed by that something is of value, something is of no value, then something is important when we are attracted to that something. But what Lord is saying, samaloshtashma kanchana. So what Lord is saying? Lord is saying that if you become a proper yogi, what will develop? You will see these two things equally. Means gold is equal to pebbles. Now, if someone says that I am a great yogi, then we should ask him that for you is gold equal to pebbles? Then if I give you pebbles in donation, will you accept them? So he will say, no, no, gold I keep in a big locker and pebbles are just lying around, maybe in dustbins. So why we keep gold in lockers and pebbles in some dustbins or thrown around of no value? Because we give different value to both of them. But at absolute level, actually they are equal. If you are Vijitendriya, if you have conquered your Indriyas, then for you gold and pebble both are same. This is actually Gyan. But then just having Gyan is not enough. Somebody may buy a book, How to Lose Weight, and keep on reading it every day and stop, doesn't follow anything in it. Just keep on reading how to lose weight, how to lose weight. Will he ever lose weight? He will never lose weight. So just Gyan is not enough. You have to apply that knowledge. Like in our institutes also, we have theory also and practical also. So theory is how to lose weight. Practical is then you have to follow it. Same way, Bhagavad Gita is that Gyan, but then everyday life when we apply it, then slowly we understand, oh, mind is a big actually hindrance in my self-realization. And then I have to do something for it. What we have to do? This is what. Not only on physical terms, Vijitendriya person becomes equipoised. He also starts seeing everyone equal. Like whether he is his surad, means his friend, or he is someone who is madhyasth, or someone who is doing keeping dvesh or animosity, or someone who is his relative. A Vijitendriya person will have some buddhi vishishyate. He will develop same inclination of seeing to everyone. He actually stops seeing him in terms of some relationships. He starts seeing that person in terms of spiritual spark which is there inside. So what we understood till now, we want to advance through detachment of work. Then there is a yoga road stage when we give up the work. Now, how to further practice this stage of yoga is what Lord explains in 10 to 32. It is a very technical aspect, but actually we have already discussed about Ashtanga Yoga in the introduction. And this is what is summary study of Ashtanga Yoga, which Lord gives to Arjuna. And the result is that a yoga root and ultimately a yoga root yogi will get the vision of super soul. So if someone of you thinks that I want to become a yoga root or I want to become a Ashtanga yogi, what you have to do? You have to go to a solitude place away from the world, and then we have to actually understand that how to develop that satisfaction. Then you have to sit in a erect posture, then you have to concentrate, close your eyes, and you have to do lot of yogic practices, and then slowly you will develop that achalam sthiram stage, and then slowly you will have that brahmachari vrate or and vigat bhir stage. Vigat bhir means then you are not afraid of anything, you will become a fearless. But point is, can we do all this in our societies? Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that yoga societies are there in big cities, but they are only teaching some uh, physical exercises. Actually, they are not teaching them the role of celibacy. They are not teaching them that you have to remain out of the cities and villages if you want to practice this Ashtanga yoga. So eventually, we can conclude that we will not be able to follow this difficult path of Ashtanga yoga because celibacy is very difficult for us. So what we have to do? We have to just take some good aspects of Ashtanga yoga which we can use in our Bhakti yoga. So Shantim Nirvana Parama. So how he develops that Shanti? He develops that Shanti because now he is in that perfect stage of yoga where he can control his mind. But before controlling the mind, he has to do something for his physical well-being also. Because if your body is not in a right plane, you will not be able to experience this Ashtanga Yoga. And what is that? Lord says that yuktahar viharasya yuk cheshta karmasu yukta swapna bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. So anybody who wants to become a yogi, he has to develop that yuktahar viharasya. Yuktahar means we have to decide what we want to take as input. Ahar doesn't only mean food. Ahar also means through all our senses, whatever inputs we are taking. So, what we are listening to, what we are smelling, what we are seeing, what we want to touch, all these things are also our ahar. So, yukta ahar viharasya. Yukta means something of that which will help us to develop and control our mind. So, yukta cheshta, all our contemplation, all our activities, karmasu should also be on that level. When we develop that sense of importance, that yes, everything around me should be developed in a manner so that I become self-realized, what is called as yuktahar viharasya. So somebody may say that why you are talking about body now? We already understood that we are not this body, we are mind. No, we have understood technically that we are not this body. But still, to actually get to our goal, we require this body as a vehicle. So we have to become conscious of our body, but we should not be bodily conscious. We have to be just conscious that, okay, this body exists and this is the vehicle through which I will be able to actually undertake this whole endeavor. So if we see from 6.10 onwards, Lord is actually giving us different principles and practices of Ashtanga Yoga, which we have already discussed in the introduction part. And then how we have to set, how we have to follow celibacy, fearlessness. This we have already discussed. This is just a summary of what we have discussed till 6.17. And then what Lord is saying, then he says that Nispraha sarva kamebhyo. Then one stage comes. Not only he is looking gold, iron, and some pebbles equally. Not only is he looking some people who are envious to him and friendly to him as equally. He is also nispraha about whatever he is working. So he become a nispraha yogi. So this is the perfection of yoga. So now all his mental activities are disciplined. He is situated in that transcendence, what we call as dharana and dhyan, and he's free of all the material desires. Now, how we can visualize this? Because we have never met someone who is like this. So Lord gives us very nice analogy. I like this analogy very much. Whenever mind is disturbed, think about this analogy. And this nice analogy is yatha deepo nivasasto nengate sopama smrtah. So we all have seen the flame of some diya or some candle, and when we see that flame keeps on moving because of some air currents, it is never steady. So Lord says that this is how our mind is also. Mind is also always vacillating from bhoga tyaga. But if you become advanced yogi, perfect yogi, then your mind will be like a flame, mastered flame which doesn't move. Just like if you keep a lamp in some place which is windless, when where there is no air current, then that flame will not move. Same way, will live in this world, we will live in this body, but we will become like this. And yes, it we can do like that. So how to control our mind? Tip one is do not try to control it. Try to develop your intelligence. Your intelligence will automatically control it. And tip number two, but become careful that let it not control you. So first step is let mind not control you, and then second stage is to develop your intelligence so that your intelligence controls the mind. Otherwise we will fail. So if you focus on the results, you will never change. People keep on focusing, I want to get 100 out of 100. Nothing will change. He will get 0 out of 100 only. If you focus on the change, then you will get the results. So we should focus on how we can change. Many times we read this chapter and then we are very much excited, and then we say that yes, from today onward I will control my mind. Then what happens? 1 2 days we try to control mind, then because of our past sanskaras we again fall back into that old habits. Why we fall back in our old habits? Because actually our focus was on the result, while our focus should be on the change. So every day if we change 1% also, there will be big change in 1 year. So we should keep on focusing on that change and not on the results. Results will automatically come. Like for example, somebody who is very malnourished and who is hand to mouth and difficult to get food, if I give this chappan bhog thali to him, he will definitely relish it. Same is with us. Our mind is actually hand to mouth. Mind is not getting the pleasure which actually it should get. When we start meditating, we are feeding our mind this chappan bhoga of mantra yoga. And when we feed our mind this very nice laid out meal, then definitely that mind will be automatically under control. We don't have to do too much anything for that. So what we are focusing on today, again to revise, is hardware is okay, but software is corrupted, and seat of consciousness is not able to work the way it wants to work. What we have to do? We have to control this software. So when someone reaches to that stage of samadhi, what he gets, Lord explains that very vividly. He says that he will remain happy, he will remain fixed up, he will be unshaken, and he will be free from all the miseries which arise from material contact. And if we think about these 5 things, actually, we all are searching for these 5 things only. We all want happiness, which will always be with us. We all want to be free, and we all want that nothing should be able to disturb us. We all want all these things, but we don't want to give up our mind. And that is our problem. So actually, our greatest treasure is often not we treasure the greatest. What happens? We have some pebbles and we have collected them since lot of efforts. We keep them with us and we don't want to part with them. And unless we leave those pebbles from our hand, we cannot hold something of value. So same is happening to us. Our mind is conditioned on that lower level functioning, and if we want to understand higher level functioning, we have to give up that lower level functioning. That's what Lord says in 24 shloka. He says that Sankalpa Prabhavan Kama. Sankalpa means we have to actually decide that yes, I want to improve. And many times, like I said, when we think that we want to improve, then we easily become disheartened because we think that nothing will work. But here comes the role of Sankalpa. Like we have taken a Sankalp that we will complete 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita in 18 sessions. Same way, we have to take sankalp that yes, I want to control my mind. Srila Prabhupada gives very nice analogy in this regard, that there was a small bird who has laid down eggs and near ocean, and somehow that big wave came and all the eggs disappeared in the ocean. A bird started crying, and then so people around him, all other birds, they wanted to solace him. They said that nothing can be done. Then bird said that okay, I want your help, we will empty this ocean and we will try to find out my egg. But none of them they helped. So eventually what that small bird started doing, a small bird with her own beak, whatever few drops of ocean it can collect, it started emptying it. So people around him started ridiculing him that what you're doing, nothing will work. And eventually this news spread in all the bird community, and the king of birds, that is Garudji, he came to know about it, and he said that, oh, I am really happy with your endeavors and your sankalpa, and I want to help you because of your determination. And when Garudji came in front of that ocean, then ocean god, he became fearful. that Garodji may swallow me. So what he did, he returned all those eggs. So at the first instance, it was seemingly impossible for that small bird to reach up to that big ocean, mighty ocean, and get back her eggs. But it was possible because of determination. Same way, our mind initially we may feel that we'll not be able to control it, but if we somewhere develop that vyavasaya atmika buddhi, which we already discussed in second chapter, someday Lord will give us mercy and we will be able to control our mind. And when we will able to control our mind, the Ashtang yogis, their last siddhi will be Kaivalyam or monism, when they feel that oneness with the Supreme. And what about after Nirvana? After Nirvana, the ultimate goal is to achieve execution of Bhakti Yoga. So somebody who is a successful Ashtang yogi, what he will do eventually? He will start practicing Bhakti Yoga once he is perfected himself. Now, this all thing happen slowly. Shane Shane means slowly, slowly. So slowly, slowly, we will be able to control our mind. Slowly, slowly, we'll be able to develop our intelligence. Everything will happen slowly, very slowly. So we have to keep on going. That is the message which Lord want to give to us in 25th shloka. And that's why we have to read all these stories, all these scriptures, so that we remain enthusiastic. Now, if we have all these patience, determination, without any deviation, faith, we can control our mind. We give up all material desires. We develop our intelligence. Our mind is fixed up, and step by step, we have reach up to our level of success. So, from 6.24 to 25, Lord has actually laid down whole of that yoga root stage, how someone achieves that. And now, finally, what happens? Now, finally, he will develop that samadhi. So, he will not be disturbed by anything. Samadhi is something like suddenly you will develop wings and you will suddenly realize that you have understood everything. It is just like a snail has got a rocket launcher to it. The same thing happen. But for that, what we have to do? Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalam astiram. Tatos tato niyamaitad atmanev vasham nayet. So mind keeps on wondering what we have to do. We have to every time bring it our control. Every time. Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalam asthiram. So whenever and wherever mind goes, we have to again go bring it again. Bring it again. Bring it again. Shane shane. Slowly, slowly. So what we have to do, most of the time the mistake which we do is we want to restrain our mind. Actually, we have to retrain our mind. So we have to retrain our thoughts, we have to retrain our processes, how we develop all those habits, we have to retrain ourselves. And such a person will be Prashant Manasaha. So again, Lord is using this word Prashant. Prashant means happy. So now his mind is under control and he is very happy. And such a person becomes yogi. Vigata Kalmasha. He is out of all those kalmash. And when such a yogi, who is a yoga yuktatma, sarvatra samadarshana, he looks everyone equally. This is again a repetition of what Lord has already said. And then comes this very important shloka, which is hidden in Bhagavad Gita. And we just read it and forget about it, but it is actually the key verse. The key verse is Yoma pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati. Tasyaham na pranashyami sachmena pranashyati. So one who sees everything in me and everywhere, he sees Lord, he is actually seeing, not the one who is not able to develop that vision. So eventually all these efforts, all these endeavors will lead us to this level that we will be seeing Lord everywhere. This is what is the constitutional position of how gopis they or perfected yogis they see Lord everywhere. And what they see, Sarva Bhutastha Yoma, Bhajate Kekatma Sthitas. So what happens? Everything what is existing, he will see that Lord is actually existing. He doesn't see anything else. Anything which is happening to him, he is actually Sama Pashyati. He is only seeing Lord, nothing else. So such a yogi is Param Yogi, Lord says. So he will not experience now any pain or pleasure. He will be just situated in that perfected stage. That is the understanding that what is causing our distress? Our distress is because of forgetfulness of our relationship with God. Once we develop that relationship, we actually become a perfect yogi. And this is how the role of necessity of controlling the mind comes. So now we develop that way of controlling the mind. We have developed our intelligence. Our mind is a bit under our control. And Chanchalam, Sthiram Man also we have actually controlled. But what happens? Arjuna has a query. Actually, why Arjuna has this query? Arjuna has this query because through Arjuna, Lord wants to give us this message that actually practicing Ashtanga Yoga is very difficult. So don't try to practice it. This is very difficult way to control our mind. That's why what he is saying, Chanchala hi mana Krishna pramathi balvadranam tasyaham nigraha manye vayu revsa dushkaram. So mind is restless, reasonless, ruthless, relentless. How to control this mind? Arjuna is saying 5,000 years ago that I am not able to control my mind. And now we are living in this modern age when there are so much bombardment of all the temptations around us, and we think that we will be able to control mind. Arjun, who can control the raging wind, he is not able to control mind. How we can control our mind? So that's why Lord actually stamps him. He is saying that, yes, Arjun, asanshaya mahavaho mano durni graham chalam. Asanshaya mahavaho. Mahavaho, there is no doubt. It's very difficult to control mind. But abhyasena tu konteya vairagyena cha grahyate. But by doing some things, what we call as abhyas, and not doing something, what we call as vairagya, the do's and don'ts, you can try to control mind. So asanshaya mahabaho mano durni graham chalo. So difficult to control mind, but by doing some abhyas and following some vairagya, you will be able to control this mind. So Lord Krishna is actually giving hope to all of us that you can control this mind. This analogy we already understood, that consciousness is like a passenger and our intellect actually should control the mind. And if we have this sort of arrangement in our life, then we will be able to control our mind. Otherwise, it is difficult to control mind. So Lord says that, yes, it is difficult for any yogi to control the mind, but if he follows some rules and regulation, he will be able to control mind. And if he is not able to follow rules and regulation, he is just a show bottle yogi. He is just showing that he is a yogi. Actually, he is not a yogi. So, a Krishna conscious person or a devotee, it is very easy to control mind. But for a practitioner, it is very difficult to control mind if he is not attracted to God. So then comes that, okay, I understood I want to control my mind. Suppose the way you are telling me, I keep on following it and I attain my demise before I become a perfect person. Then what will be my destination? What will be my destination if I am not able to completely perfect this process? What will happen to me? So, what will be my gati? What will be the gati of someone who is aprapya, who has not actually got what he actually went for? So, what will happen to such a failure person? So, Lord says that we also have all these questions that somebody he starts practicing devotional service. So if I don't want to follow it very perfectly right now, and suppose I have some inclination for material well-being also, it is just like we are keeping our foot in two different boats, very difficult for us to control and very difficult for us to attain our destination. So what will happen? Will I become disappear like a clouds that it become disappear in a sky, or will I be able to actually control? So what we have to understand, we have to understand that there are two different boats either in this world. One is material and one is spiritual. We have to try to actually become a spiritual yogi, and we don't have to go for all these siddhis. So what we have to do? What will happen to me if I do not I'm not able to actually attain the perfection in this life? Then Lord Krishna says that uh, I will actually solve this doubt. How I will solve this doubt? Because I know everything. So Arjuna actually knows these two things, that only Krishna can actually solve this doubt. That what will happen to unsuccessful transcendentalist. So what will happen? Lord says that nahi kalyan krit kaschit durgati tat gachati. So if you are doing something good, you will actually preserve what you have done. It will not happen that after your death everything will be lost. So nothing will be lost. Whatever punya karma you have done, they will be with you. Even if you are a yoga bhrashto, then also you will actually remain in that level. Even if you die, what will happen? You will be born in a family of transcendentalists where actually you will receive spirituality from your early childhood so that you can complete the remaining aspect of your spirituality. So this is very actually sort of inspiration for all of us. We know that story of Jad Bharat. He couldn't complete his perfection in one life, so he got the next life as Jad Bharat, and he could continue, and he finally attained the perfection. So same way will happen to all of us. All of us who are endeavoring for some perfection, if we are not able to control or complete, then don't worry. The remaining part we will do in next life. So that's why, because of this pura abhyas and what all prayatna they have done, so eventually they will get either born in a family which will be of wealthy people, or in a family which will be of devotional attitude, so that they can complete or they can live a easy life. So now we come to the last section, that is 46, 47. So who is the topmost yogi? So till now what we have discussed, that we can advance in yoga through detached work. Then we understood there are different yoga ruruksha and yoga ruda stages. Then we understood the role of mind and why and how we can control it. And then Lord answered our question that suppose I remain unsuccessful, then what will happen to me? So he actually gave us solace that don't worry, you keep on trying. The remainder of it you can do in next life. Now, in eye of Lord, who is the topmost yogi? So he has already discussed all type of yogas now, and now he will give his conclusion. So he will give a hierarchy also, and then he will give his actually understanding also. So what is the hierarchy? Hierarchy is tapasvi bhyo adhiko yogi, jnanebhyo api mato adhika, karmebhyo adhiko yogi, yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. So what he is saying to Arjun, Arjun, you have to become a yogi. Tasmad yogi bhav Arjuna. Yogi you will have to become. Now what type of yogi you want to become? Let's discuss that also. So then Lord says that yoginam api sarvesham mat gater antar atmana shraddhavan bhajate yumam same yukta tamomata. So what he is saying, that yoginam api sarvesham, of all the types of yogi which I have described to you till now, mad gater antar atmana, the yogi who actually believes in me, that I am the whole and soul, proprietor of everything, and who develops that shraddhavan bhajate yoma. Bhajte means to actually pray. So Lord is introducing bhakti yoga here. He says that with that faith, when he is doing my bhajan, bhajate yomam, sa me yukta tamomata. He is the perfected yogi. He is the yogi whom I like. So why then we have discussed so many types of yogis and so much Ashtanga yoga in detail when Lord is saying that Shraddhavan bhajate yomam? We have discussed because through Ashtanga yoga we understood importance of mind. Through Ashtanga yoga we understood that we have to somehow understand to control our mind. So what is the conclusion of all this yoga letter which Lord has given? That if you are doing Nishkam Karma Yoga with knowledge and renunciation, you are a Jnana Yogi. When a Jnana Yoga or Jnana Yogi is doing and adding meditation to it, he becomes a Ashtanga Yogi. And when Ashtanga Yogi actually realizes that Krishna is there and he develops that service attitude towards Krishna, he becomes a Bhakti Yogi. So Bhakti Yoga actually encompasses Nishkam Karma Yoga plus knowledge plus renunciation plus meditation plus realization of Krishna in devotion. So this is the formula. So if we remember this formula, we will understand that actually Bhakti Yoga includes everything. So that's why we have to understand Astanga Yoga. That's why Lord is actually giving this Astanga Yoga. And if you read Vedas, if you read Upanishad, if you read lot of literature, if you are fond of reading, you can read all those things. But none of those literature will give you this clarity. I have read things, so I know that none of those literature will give you this clarity which Lord is saying here in this chapter, because they will be focusing either on Ashtanga Yoga and Gyan Yoga or some part of Bhakti Yoga, but they will never give you this clarity of thought that, okay, if you are becoming a Bhakti Yogi, you are not actually losing anything, because already you are practicing what Ashtanga Yogi is doing or what Gyan Yogi is doing. Actually, when Gyan Yogi will reach up to his pinnacle, he will become Ashtanga Yogi. When Ashtanga Yogi will reach up to its pinnacle, he will become a Bhakti Yogi. So this is the important. So who is the topmost yogi? The Bhakti Yogi is the topmost yogi. Why he is the topmost yogi? Because he has great faith in Krishna. He takes shelter in him. He always thinks about him and he renders loving service to him. So we will now in subsequent sessions from 7 to 12 chapter, beautifully Lord will describe to us how to develop that faith in Krishna, how to take his shelter, how to always think of him, how to render that loving service to him. And this is what is part of Bhakti Yoga. So comparison of different Bhakti Yoga systems and with Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Most of the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga are selfish endeavors, while Bhakti Yoga is a selfless endeavor. Karma, Jnana, Ashtanga Yoga, there are more chances of failure, while Bhakti Yoga, Lord will guarantee success. We will see in 12th chapter. So that's why a intelligent person who knows that it is very difficult to control mind otherwise, he will take some tips from the Astanga Yoga section, but he will try to follow Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti Yoga is the best yoga. So actually, all yogas are important, but Bhakti Yoga is the pinnacle of everything. So why I can't concentrate? Again, we come to first slide. I cannot concentrate because actually I don't know how my mind works. If I know how my mind works, then I'll be able to control my mind. Very easy to control mind just by developing intelligence. How to know am I progressing or not? Just by seeing all those things which used to tempt me before. If they're not tempting me now, means I am progressing. Is Bhakti Yoga better than all the process? Definitely, surely, because in last sloka, Lord has summarized this whole section by saying that Bhajte yo mam. Bhajte means one who is doing bhakti. So, which yogi is best? Bhakti yogi is best. So, what we discussed today, just to summarize, that how to advance in yoga, how what we understood about Ashtanga Yoga, different components. We understood the role of mind, how to control this mind, what happens to someone who is unsuccessful yogi, and eventually how who is the topmost yogi and how to become a topmost yogi. So then somebody may say that, okay, we have heard whole of your session, but what are the tips in my life what I can apply? So I will discuss in another 2 minutes what are the take home messages or practical tips we can start applying by using knowledge from this chapter. So to change the way you feel, change the way you think. Many times we feel very low, depressed, we keep on cribbing, frustrated, even while we are doing our bhakti also. So if we really want to change the way we feel, we have to change the way we think. If our thinking is not changing, nothing will change. So we don't have to go behind the mind. We have to go beyond the mind. Many times we keep on actually trying to control mind, to control mind, to control mind. Very difficult to control mind. Develop your intelligence, mind will be easily controlled. So some people will use yoga to stretch their bodies, to do some asanas. Some others to stretch the truth, means to understand the truth. So we have not to do yoga just to stretch our body. We have to actually understand the truth. What and how bhakti will help us? So how bhakti will help us? We are struggling with the mind, but if we develop bhakti, then spontaneously our mind will be attracted to Lord Krishna, his beauty, his pastimes, and his different stories. And when we are attracted to all those things and to holy name, then very easy to actually control our mind. We don't have to struggle with the mind, because what devotion is doing, a meditation, in meditation they will not never include emotion and actions in it. They will be sitting still, closing their eyes, erect posture. But what devotion is doing, devotion is actually putting emotion and action into it. And we all love emotions and actions. So when emotions and actions are there, our mind is automatically occupied. Like when we go for a movie, there are emotions and actions, so we forget everything. Same way, when we are doing devotion service, we don't have to actually bother much about mind. Mind will be very easily and automatically controlled. If you want to actually by heart some shloka from this section, there are many good shlokas, but this sixth shloka is actually key shloka of this whole chapter. How actually mind is our friend, and if we have conquered it, and if you have not conquered it, mind is our enemy. So what we have to do? This is shloka number 6.6. So the same way, like we go to a ophthalmologist to check our eyes, and then he says that, oh, your eyes are okay, 6/6 vision. So this is how we develop this 6/6 vision of our mind. So what is the 6/6? The sixth shloka of sixth chapter tells us that we have to become our mind's friend, and our mind has to become our friend. And how this thing will be achieved? If we become friend of Lord. If we become friend of Lord, automatically our mind will become our friend. So thank you, each one of you, for patiently listening to it. And if there are any queries, corrections, most welcome. It was a bit lengthy session, but we tried to control mind. Then we have to attend this session and we have to understand it, because so many lives we all have lived without controlling our mind. So if in one life we give some time to understand how to control our mind, I think it is a good investment. Thank you so much. Yes, Prabhuji, Pankaj Prabhuji, you're saying something.
No, Prabhuji, thank you. I'm just saying thank you, Prabhuji, for your nice lecture.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Any comment you want to make? Any
No,
specifics?
no, Prabhuji, I have no qualification to comment on your lectures.
No, no,
No.
Prabhuji. It's not so. We all are on the same boat.
जय श्री कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Jai Shri Krishna. Yes,
मेरे
ma'am.
गुरुदेव एक स्टोरी बताते हैं कि माइंड इज लाइक अ जिन। किसी को एक जिन मिला, उसने
जी।
बोला कि मेरी सारी आवश्यकताओं को पूरी करो। वो
जी।
बोला मैं सब तुम्हारे काम करूंगा, पर
हम्म।
1 मिनट भी फ्री नहीं बैठूंगा। अगर
Yes.
मैं फ्री बैठा तो तुम्हें खा जाऊंगा। अब वो सारे काम कराया उसने। एंड में उसे लगा अब मैं क्या, कुछ बचा ही नहीं है मेरे पास करवाने के लिए, क्या करूं। तो लोगों ने उसको एडवाइस किया कि एक डंडा अपने आंगन में लगा और उस जिन्न को बोलो ऊपर नीचे, इसमें ऊपर नीचे करता रहे।
Yes.
अब वो ऊपर नीचे करता रहा।
Yes.
द माइंड इज लाइक दैट ओनली। अगर आप
Yes.
उसको फ्री छोड़ते हो संसार की चीजों में, तो वो कुछ ना कुछ सोचता ही रहेगा, कुछ
सोचता
ना
ही
कुछ
रहेगा।
डिमांड करता रहेगा।
Yes.
इसलिए डंडा इज लाइक मंत्र
Yes.
और
This is the
ईश्वर का
danda.
नाम।
This is the danda.
हाँ, मंत्र और नाम ईश्वर का दें उसको। और
Yes.
उसको मतलब जब भी अपने को मंत्र जाप अगर नहीं होता है तो थोड़ी देर के लिए नाम नहीं होता है तो जो आपको किसी भी भजन जो पसंद है वो भजन गुनगुनाइए। कोई भी फिल्मी सॉन्ग इन द फॉर्म ऑफ भजन गुनगुनाइए। इस तरह मतलब मेरे गुरुदेव इस तरह से बताते हैं।
Yes. Yes.
तो
Very nice.
आप फुल टाइम आप उसमें आप जिन रूपी आपका मन जो है वो उस डंडे पे ऊपर नीचे करेगा, वो इधर उधर संसार में नहीं भागेगा।
यस, बिल्कुल सही है,
ये
बिल्कुल
स्टोरी।
सही है। यस,
तो यह है
वेरी,
कि उसको अपने को बार बार ला के पकड़ के लाना पड़ता है। 1 मिनट में 1 सेकंड में भागता है, पर उसको बार बार अपने की, इसलिए मनस चंचल मस्तिरम जो बोला है। और वो असंयतात्मना योगो दुष्प्राप, बहुत मतलब प्राप्त करना बहुत कष्टकर है, पर उसको अपने को किसी न किसी तरह से इस तरह से लाना है। और थोड़े मतलब हर तरीके से वो डंडा है नहीं, ईश्वर रूपी नाम, उसको साथ में लेके, और बुद्धि के जगह भगवान को लेके, क्योंकि मन हमेशा बुद्धि पे हावी रहता है। तो उसकी जगह पे अपन ईश्वर को बिठाएं, हर बार ये सोचें कि नहीं, मेरा रथी जो है, मेरे शरीर का रथी जो है कृष्ण है, मैं नहीं हूँ।
यस,
उससे वो मन थोड़ा मन का वेरी डिफिकल्ट बट ट्रू। बहुत सुंदर आपका एक्सप्लेनेशन, बहुत डिफिकल्ट चैप्टर है, रियली इट्स वेरी बिग डिफिकल्ट चैप्टर टू अंडरस्टैंड, पर बहुत बहुत ही अच्छा समझाया आपने, बहुत ही बढ़िया समझाया। जय श्री कृष्ण।
जय श्री
जय
कृष्ण।
प्रभु
Thank you,
की
madam.
जय।
Thank you for your blessings. And actually, like madam said, that empty mind is devil's workshop. So we have to keep our mind occupied. Lord has already said in second chapter that if you develop higher taste, then lower taste will automatically go. So we have to somewhere try to develop that higher taste. So all this bhakti is just trying to develop that higher taste. So very true. Kavita madam wants to comment something.
प्रणाम आप सबको। मेरे को आज सबसे अच्छा ये लगा कि आज मेरा 0 डे हो रहा है, कि मेरे को पहली बार समझ में आ रहा है कि हार्ड ब्रेन के अलावा एक मन होता है, और वो मन हमको सही डायरेक्शन में ले जा सकता है। तो आपने बहुत अच्छी इंसाइट दी, और नीलिमा मैडम ने प्रॉब्ली बहुत ही कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क्स दिए, क्योंकि अपन हमेशा ब्रेन से रूल होते हैं, इंटेलेक्चुअल पर्सन, अपन अपना पढ़ते हैं और अपन सोचते हैं अपन जीवन में जो करना चाहिए वो कर रहे हैं, पर अभी समझ में आ रहा है कि जो करना चाहिए वो हमने भी स्टार्ट करने की बस कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो मेरे को बहुत ही अच्छा लगा आज का सेशन, क्योंकि अभी तक मेरे क्लियरिटी ही नहीं थी। मेरे को लग रहा था मैं जो अपना काम कर रही हूँ वही इम्पोर्टेंट है, पर अब मुझे समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं, वो तो बेसिक नीड्स थी इस लाइफ की। अभी जो हम जा रहे हैं वो हमारी एक्चुअल नीड्स हैं इस सोल की। बहुत अच्छा किया मेरे को। तो आई एम फीलिंग ब्लेस्ड कि मेरे को ये सब अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली कि कोई गीता समझ के समझा रहा है, क्योंकि हम लोग इस जीवन में खुद पढ़ के इतना गीता को नहीं समझ पाते, इतना मुझे पता है। तो आप लोग का गाइडेंस मिलता रहेगा तो शायद धीरे धीरे हम लोग उस रास्ते पे चल पाएंगे। तो आप लोग सबका बहुत धन्यवाद कि कम से कम हमें भी अपने साथ बोलते हैं ना कि हम लोग की डूबती हुई नैया को पार लगवाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं आप लोग। धन्यवाद बहुत बहुत।
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Samir sir, you want to comment something?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। प्रभु
प्रभु जी, वैसे तो मैं कैंप में हूँ अभी।
जी जी जी।
एक्चुअली आज एक कलवार सभा का कैंप था, तो वहाँ
ओके ओके
फिर भी बहुत अच्छा टॉप का अभी मैं सुन ही रहा हूँ।
ओके प्रभु
इंटेलिजेंस जो बुद्धि है वो मन को कंट्रोल करना चाहिए,
जी।
लेकिन अपने यहाँ उल्टा होता है, मन जो है वो बुद्धि को कंट्रोल करके रखा हुआ है। बस वहीं पर सब गड़बड़ी चालू होती है।
यस यस प्रभु जी। Yes.
बाकी तो आपने सभी कुछ एक्सप्लेन किया, बहुत ही अच्छी।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू। तो हम अगले सत्र से वी विल स्टार्ट द actually why we started this whole Bhagavad Gita sessions. The central, like in the first session we discussed that Bhagavad Gita is like a sandwich, और ये अभी तक जो हमने डिस्कस किया ये ऊपर वाली ब्रेड था, क्रस्ट था। अब आएगा जो असली फीलिंग है अगले सेशन से, वेयर विल बी डिस्कसिंग अबाउट भगवद गीता का जो कोर है, भक्ति योगा। सो नेक्स्ट 6 चैप्टर, please try to be with us so that we can understand what is bhakti yoga and how important it is for our life. So with your blessings and permission, we'll end this session now, and we will hopefully meet next time. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.